This is Gemara Nazir Daf Chof Test. Apologies for the lateness of today's shir. Was in transit late throughout the night. But Baruch Hashem, here we are. Let's pick it up from the bottom of Chof Ches Amid Beis. We just finished a Mishnah. A Mishnah that brought us back a little bit into the figures of Nedarim. Particularly, we're dealing with one making a Neder or Naziros for his son. And obviously, the obvious implication and diukim in the Mishnah that everyone, I'm sure, was wondering when we read the Mishnah is that the Mishnah began, Ha'ish! A man can make this neder naziris for his son. What about a woman? Is diuk number one. And diuk number two is it says you can make it for your banai, your son. What about your daughter? So let's get into today's daf and let's see what's going on. It says the Gemara, 3 lines from the bottom of Chav Ches Beis, Ish in, Aval Ishalai. The obvious implication of the Mishnah is that only a man can create nazirs on his son and not a woman. My taima, what is the reason? And we have a classical machlokes between Rav Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Rav Yochanan Amar halacha hi ben Nazir. It's a halacha leMoshe miSinai. We learned oral tradition Moshe miSinai that a man could create a naziris for his son, but not a woman. And just to give a little bit of a foreshadowing of what's to come in a moment or two, from the factor of Yechon learns is Alach L'Moshe miSinai, it's going to be very difficult to ask any questions. Why? Because it's Alach L'Moshe miSinai. Where does Alach L'Moshe miSinai apply? Wherever it was said. Where it was not said, it doesn't apply. So if the Alach L'Moshe miSinai was said by a man and not a woman, by a son, not a daughter, and many other implications, that's going to be the way it is, and we can't ask any questions. That is Shita number 1. Shita number 2, Rav Yesi, Rav Chanina Amar, says Rav Yesi, Rav Chanina, as we turn over to Chav Tesam and Aleph, Amar Rish Lakish. Says Rav Yesi, Chanina, then Rish Lakish, what's the reason? Kedei lechanchoi b'mitzvahs. The reason that a father can make an naziris for his son is in order to give him a chinuch in the mitzvahs. What is the chinuch? The chinuch is that one has to train himself at times to be able to abstain. So the father wants to train his son. How does he train his son? By making him into a Nazir. Just to point out one detail. Is this a classical Rav Yochanan Rish Lakish? It seems yes. But Rish Lakish's din is being repeated from whom? Rav Yossi Rav Chanina. This is a detail that one should, maybe make a mark off of. As we'll see later in the Gemara, this is important. And not for on-the-page Gemara. It's going to be more of a tasty discussion I'm not getting involved in. But just important to note that it's not Rav Yochanan Rish Lakish. It's Rav Yochanan Rish Lakish, but Rish Lakish is Rav Yossi Rav Chanina, the name of Rish Lakish. Or, the truth is, Taisis is going to quote a Girsa that's going to have its Rish Lakish name of Rav Yossi Rav Chanina. But either way, what are the two opinions? Opinion number 1 is Alach L'Moshe miSinai Rav Yochanan. Opinion number 2 is Kedei L'Chancha Mitzvahs Rish Lakish. Ask the Gemara, if this is true, why can a woman not make a naziris for her son? She also has a din of chinuch, we think. Answers the Gemara, Kesavar, Ish chayav l'chanech b'nai b'mitzvahs, vein isha chayav es l'chanech es b'na. A woman has no din of chinuch, and as we're going to see right now, within Rish Lakish, we're going to have to say many chidushim to uphold the din of Rish Lakish. Din number 1 is the mitzvah of chinuch is a din only in the father. Continues the Gemara 4 lines down. Bishlam the Rav Yochanan Amar Lachi ben Nazir Amatulachi, because there's been a yin b'talai. Talach L'Moshe miSinai. And I only by son, not by daughter. I got it. El Reish Lakish, but according to Reish Lakish, Afilu b'itay, the din should be applicable to his daughter as well. If told in a chinuch, one has to mechanich and train his daughters in mitzvahs as well. Answers the Gemara, Kasaver b'no chayiv l'chanchai b'itay einay chayav l'chancha. So chiddush number 2 in Reish Lakish that there's no din of chinuch on one's daughter, neither on a woman. Ask the Gemara question number 3. Bishlam Rav Yochanan Amar Lachi ben Nazir Ahachi ben Naziris in ben Nedarim Lai. I understand why it's a special din by Naziris, but not Nedarim. El Reish Lakish Afilu Nedarim Nami. According to Reish Lakish, the same din should apply on a Nedarim, that a father should have the ability to create Nedarim for a son in order to mechanech him in mitzvahs. Answers the Gemara. Rish Lakish says yes. You're right, the father could indeed create Nedarim. Needless to say, It's pashut that he can make nedarim for his son. That there's no aspect of nivel. There's no aspect that you have to shave. There's no aspect that you can have wine. So you would think maybe you cannot make your son into a Nazir. Question number 3. Question number 4. About 11 lines down. The first one is the Amar. That's why the Mishnah continued and said if this son protested or other relatives protested and he got a haircut, then the Naziris does not work. According to Rish Lakish, kol kimineyem karoivin darminalei. But according to Rish Lakish, kol kimineyem karoivin darminalei, what gives the relatives the right to say lo yitig merei mitzvahs? Don't teach your son mitzvahs. According to Rish Lakish, the whole reason you could create your son into this Nazir is why chinuch. So how could the relatives come along and say, no, there's no din al chinuch? That makes no sense. Answers the Gemara, kasavar, kol chinuch, lo chashiv, lo nichalei. Answers the Gemara, you know what Rish Lakish will respond? Indeed, the father, the mother, well, the father particularly, is happy about this. Why? Because anything that the relatives aren't happy about, if the mishpacha is talking and saying, wait, this kid's a Nazir, what's the father doing? It's not appropriate. Lo nichle, then he himself is not happy, meaning he's happy to make the Naziris go away. Bishlama, question number 5. Bishlama l'Rav Yechon. First word in line is l'Rav Yechon, about 20 lines down. Tamar Allah, ibn Nazir zachum mishmisin mishamachi megalech v'avedar kafa. If the son shaves his head, Bishlama, one more time, excuse me. Mishamachi megalech. That is the reason why the child can shave his head. V'avedar kafa, and he could also do akafa. What's akafa? Akafa is a deraisa of cut of your payas. So now we're going to realize something that we spoke about many times by Naziris, but he's never spelled it out. A Nazir is to shave off his whole head. So there's a fundamental issue. How can he shave off his head? He's cutting off his bayis. So the answer is the din daraisa of Naziris to shave one's head is doicha, the issa daraisa of cutting off his bayis. Gewalt. So says the Gemara, according to Rav Yechon, that says that the whole impetus of our entire discussion today from our Mishnah from yesterday is Allah l'Moshe Sinai. So Allah l'Moshe Sinai could say, shave your head and cut off your payas. Sounds like it's a din d'Rabbanan of chinuch. How in the world do you let a shave off your head? Hakafa is a din d'Oraisa. So how can the din of chinuch d'Rabbanan enable and allow hakafa d'Oraisa? Answers the Gemara, kasavar hakafa is kol haroish med'Rabbanan. Answers the Gemara, another chiddush in Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish holds hakafa, shaving of your face, is derabanan. V'chinuch is midrabanan. V'asi chinuch derabanan v'dachi hakafa derabanan. As everyone's seeing, the chidushim in the world of Rish Lakish are mounting. And the Gemara continues, question number 6 or 7. Bishlam the Rav Yechon Damar Alochi ben Nazir Achi Megaleach Maisi Carbon. So I understand how you can bring karbanos. It's all including the lach l'Moshe Sinai. Rav Yisrael Rav Chanina Amar Reish Lakish Tilachanchai b'mitzvahis. How can you bring a carbon if this whole thing is in derabanan? You're bringing chul nazara. Answers the Gemara, another chiddush in Reish Lakish because of chulin ba'azara lav daraisa. The Gemara continues questioning Bishlam the Rav Yechon Damar Lachi ben Nazar Achi ki mitami, when this person becomes tamei maisi carbon si pairin va'achal kayin, he brings the carbon and the kayin can eat it. Excuse me. One more time. Bishlam the Rav Yechon, I understand that matulachi ki mitame. If the kid becomes tamei, maisi carbon si barin v'achal kayin malika, and the kayin can eat it, even though the chiddush is when we bring an oif, a bird. How do you shacht a bird? Normally you shacht an animal, a bird, with your knife. But the carbon brought of a bird is a special din that it is shachted with the kayin's big fingernail of malika. So according to Rav Yochanan, I understand that even though this animal was shechted with the fingernail of the kohen for a carbon, the kohen is allowed to eat it. Why? Because this is all included in the Lach L'Moshe Misinai. If you shecht without a knife, if you shecht with a thumbnail that doesn't have a din of a shchita, so according to Reish Lakish, it should be considered a nevela. We have another chiddush in Rav Reish Lakish because of Rav Yehuda. Ein shchita la'oiv min ha'tayra. There's no din of shchita on the daraisa level. V'chulim ba'azara lav daraisa. And this is the point that we like to point out. The Gemara just said, Savar Rav Yesi Rav Yehuda. The Rav Yesi Rav Yehuda holds. And the interesting point here is, why does it say Kusavar Rav Yesi Rav Yehuda? Why doesn't it say Rav Yesi Rav Chanina like we had before? What exactly is going on over here? And this is the discussion, as we're about to have a question within Shitas Rav Yesi. This is where Taisus gets involved with changing gersais, etc. But for our sake, let's continue. V'savar Rav Yesi asked the Gemara, you just told me that Rav Yesi holds two massive chedushim, that all dinim of shechting a bird is derabanan, that bringing chulin ba'azar is derabanan. Asked the Gemara, V'savar Rav Yesi, Hachi, did Rav Yesi really hold this? Vatani Rav Yehuda, and this is obviously the difficulty, and this is why it says Rav Yehuda, because it says Rav Yehuda in the Braisa. Part of the difficulty is Reish Lakish is an Amayra. So if this Rav Yehuda, was he an Amayra? Was he a Tana? Is Rav Chanina? Is Rav Yehuda? What's going on over here? Again, Ayin Shem that Taisis. V'savar Rav Yesi, Achi, Vatani Rav Yehuda, Amer, Menayin, Lechatas Oif, Sheba, Ala Safek. If you bring a Chatas Oif, when there's a Safek, you have to bring it, She'eina Necheles, you can't eat it. Ta'amalai Ma'ar, Vazav, Zayvai, L'Zachar, and L'Nekeva. And Rav Yehuda holds Makish Nekeva LeZachar. Ma Zachar, just like din of a Zachar, is maybe carbon al Havadai af Nekeva, maybe a carbon al Havadai, but not a Safek. 6 lines at the bottom, Ma Zachar, maybe al Safek, af Nekeva. Oh, now we have the source that the Nekeva is maybe al Safek. Ma Zachar, Miminchu, maybe al Havadai, maybe al Safek, the same min. Af Nekeda for the same time, Miminchu, maybe al Havadai. That is the opinion of Rav Yesi Rav Yehuda. So now continues the Bryce, and it says, if when you come to a Zachar, maybe carbon, v'nechol, avnekel, maybe a carbon, v'nechol, you should also bring a carbon, you should eat it. So Amre, what are you going to answer, Lai? You're going to tell me, no, as we turn over to Chavtes Amid Beis. You're going to respond and you say, no, you can't eat it. Why? Because the Imamir Bezachar Shein is Shekein Isser. Echa Taimer Nekeva Sheshnei Yisurin. So this is the Bryce. And the Bryce says Zachar and Nekeva cannot be equated. Because Zachar is only one Isser. Whereas a Nekeva involves 2 Isurim. So now, says the Gemara, based off this long and lengthy Bryce, what do we see over here? The Shita of Rav Yehuda is Mai Shnei Yisurin Lav Isser Nevela V'Chulin Ba'azara. So seemingly we see clearly Rav Yehuda does hold it's a din daraisa. You just try to answer me that according to Rav Yehuda, this whole din is a din darabanan. How is that possible? Answers the Gemara, and this is the confusing part. Because we're 3 lines down, Chavtes and Beis, and the Gemara says the word maskif. So maskif is usually a kasha, but here maskif is a retort, is a teretz. Maskla ravacha breid ravika, v'dilma machayev alei, mishom de mechsi ketrei yisurin mide rabbanon. Says the Gemara, you know why the kohen is chayev? It's because it looks like. Don't focus on the fact that it says he's over 2 yisurin. It just looks like there is 2 Yisurin, and therefore there's no steer within the opinion of Rav Yesi Rav Yehuda. Continues the Gemara. Okay, so we had a whole lengthy Amud, a Machlekes, Rav Yochanan versus Reish Lakish. Or I should say, Rav Yochanan versus Rav Yesi Rav Yehuda, the name Reish Lakish. Now, suggesting Gemara in classical Gemara form, Leima Ketanoi. Let's say that this is a machloikes tanoim. This machloikes of Yochanan Reish Lakish is a machloikes of tanoim. And Masay Madir has been Nazir, says the Brisa, till when can a Kayin make his son into, until when can a father, make his son into Nazir? Ad sheyavish de Cyrus divrei Rabbi. Rabbi holds, you know when? Till his son becomes a gadol, he brings 2 Cyrus, 2 pubic hairs. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda Amar ad sheyagia la'oinas nidarim, till he reaches the age of Nidarim. What is the age of Nidarim? The age of Nidarim is a year before his 13th birthday, Muflag Samach La'ish. So my love, says the Gemara Tanoi, that this machlekes is as follows. That what? The Rebbe Savar Alachi ben Nazir. It's a special Achlamash Misinai, allowing a Nazir to make allowing someone to make his son into Nazir, and therefore, Vavagav the Gelenes Nidarim. Madir love azil ad maisi shtei Cyrus. You would say that God, he could make Nidarim from the age of 12, but you can't make Nazirs till the age of 13, till the age of shtei Cyrus. Why? Because that is Halach l'Moshe Misinai. And Rabbi Yehuda Amar shegia loines Nidarim till the age of 12 Savar tilachan chay b'mitzvos kivan enough of mirshu sayu su loy mechayev. Therefore, the din of chinuch is going to apply even at a younger age. So the Gemara wants to say that the machlekes of Yechanan and Reish Lakish is dependent upon this more fundamental machlekes. How does it work making a Naziris of your son? At what age is it? Is it only when the boy is bringing Shtei Cyrus, or is it even when he's a Muflik Samach La'ish, even when he's within the parsha of Nidarim? So continues the Gemara, and the Gemara is going to give multiple reasons how to explain this brisa, that this is indeed not the same machlekes as Rabbi Yechanan and Reish Lakish. We're about 20 lines down. The first line is Mechayev Amri. They answer Loi. They Kuli Alma. Everyone can really agree. Meaning in this brisa, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi could all agree. Halachi Tzachamash Misin ben Nazir. But over here, with regard to Nidarim, Muflag Asamalish Kamifligi, Rabbi Savar, Mufla Asamalish, Darabanan, and therefore Vasi Daraisi Dachi Darabanan. Rabbi Yehuda Savar Mufla Asamalish is Daraisa. So 2 different ways of learning that it's not dependent upon whether they hold Zalach L'Moshe Sinai. Rather, it's a more isolated, we should call it Machlekes within Nidarim and Mufla Asamalish. A second way of learning, Iba is Ema, the Kuliyama, Kedil Chanach of mitzvahs, everyone could go with Reish Lakish, it's a din of Chanach. Or Mufla Samalish Darabanani, and everyone could go, that's a Darabanan. Rabbi Savar, Asi Chanach Darabanan, Dachi, Mufla Samalish Darabanan. One Darabanan is going to push off the next Darabanan. Whereas, if Rabbi Yehuda now will be coming along and saying the Chiddush, Tamar Shegil, and it's the Darim, why? Savar, Asi Chanach Darabanan, Dachi, Mufla Samalish. So different ways, 3 different ways of interpreting this brisa that is not the same machlekes. And now really the Gemara continues, let's say that these Tanoi, this second machlekes that we just brought, the machlekes Rabbi versus Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda, which is not the same machlekes as Rabbi Yechanan and Reish Lakish, but let's suggest that this machlekes and Rabbi versus Rabbi Yehuda is the same as the following. Titanya, Ma'isa Rav Chanina Shedira Aviv ben Nazir Rabbi Yehuda Rav Gamliel. His father made him into Nazir, brought it to Rav Gamliel. Rav Gamliel, Bait Kai, and Rav Gamliel was checking later, maybe Shtei Cyrus Imlai. Is he a gadol or not? Hey, or Imlai Hevi. Rav Yesi Amar, you know why you brought him? Later Miguel and his Nidarim Imlav. The reason he brought is to check at what age he is. So according to the first way of learning this story, we see a father could make Nazirs on his son until he becomes a full gadol. That's like Rabbi. According to the second story, no, it's only going to be until age 12. I choose this. We're going to stop over here because the Gemara now is going to continue quoting the Brisa, which is going to go all the way on to Amud Aleph of tomorrow's daf, which is a shorter daf. So I'd like to pick it up from over here. But I want to correct one thing, which I think I said backwards. It's not the age that it starts. It's until one age. Until what age? If it's until the age of Shtei Cyrus or until the age of Muflik Samul Ish, we'll pick it up from here. We'll re-speak out the Machlekes as well in the next year. B'siyata Dishmaya.